All right, so today's Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That puts us at 4 days out. Big blocky letters with boom sound effects. And honestly, not exactly as flashy as you would expect. So really, this is kind of my back and forth. I got 3 locations, or I guess you could say 3 states of being right now. Cardio and working out, sitting in here getting some grub together, and sleeping. That's kind of my trifecta. And in between, I'm splicing in a bunch of Breaking Bad. I think this is like my 9th, definitely not 10th rewatch, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. But in terms of a little bit of a sort of kitchen stocking accounting, let's get a little look at what's in the fridge. So very lean. I'm talking egg white cartons, mustard, no room for any sugar-free barbecue sauce right now. Ground turkey, 99% lean, and then a variety of sort of pre-chopped vegetables. So that really spices it up for whenever I make the little kind of egg white omelets. In the freezer, as you would expect, zilch. Right? Frozen broccoli, no Ben & Jerry's, as much as anybody into a deep deficit would love. Cookies and cream, vanilla, half-baked, strawberry cheesecake, and cookie dough, which I think is different than the cookies and cream. That's for later. That's not for right now. And then carb-wise, frankly, nothing much to see either. Rice cakes, unsalted. That's something I'm kind of watching out for now too, is my sort of sodium intake. Because in the coming days, the whole point of this sort of bodybuilding, like peak week, it's not about like burning any extra fat, right? The fat's been burned. I might lose like tenths of pounds over the next couple days of staying in this deficit. But for the most part, that's not what I'm trying to change. Like, I'm not going to get leaner by any substantial degree over the next like 2 or 3 days. The whole trick is sort of like drying out and then carbing up. And when it comes to fluctuating your water like that, that's where your sodium kind of has to be a little bit fancier in terms of how you track it. But luckily enough, we've got a bit of a workout room in the garage, so let's see if a little sparse, but you know what? We can make this work. 3-pound dumbbells up to 8 pounds. So if you want to be a little ego lifter-ish, maybe we'll get an arm day in here tomorrow, but maybe not. This might be a little bit too old school. But if this is what you're working with, then, more power to you. But for me, I've actually got to go to a legit gym and get an hour cardio started. So let's cut to that. Oh my God, this took freaking forever. Oh, goodness. I had to pee like that whole time. Well, more like 30 minutes in. But the machine wouldn't let you pause the timer. Usually those fancier ones that are like extra, electric and shit and have the screen, you can pause it for like 5 minutes. But that one I can only pause for 30 seconds. And I don't know if it's just a me thing, but it's like I didn't want to kill the streak, because then it would have just said that I did 30 minutes of cardio twice. That seems a little bit funky. But playing now, back to the crib, and really, just kind of chill a little bit and watch some Breaking Bad. Try not to, I don't even feel like I'm trying not to eat anything. Like, I know what my meals are kind of planned out to be, so we can make the next clip kind of cut to, whatever that next one is. But they're getting real plain, real simple. I should probably cook some of that turkey just to add a little bit of variability. But yeah, there's not much room for any spare calories, any spare fats, any spare sugars or anything else. Oh, goodness, man. I'm still getting used to the dry air. But yeah, that was a good sweat. So, first things first, then I guess I gotta freaking change and shower off. I feel, and maybe this is just a me thing, but I feel like I don't stink as bad when I'm dieting down. Like, even if I'm completely drenched in sweat, like, I'm not so like sweaty smelling. You know, now of course that's no excuse. Put your freaking deodorant on. Don't be a total, you know, total fool here. But I wonder if that's just to do with, you know, having less food running through my system, being less inflamed in general. Well, either way, let's get back to the house, get into some clean clothes, and cut to meal number 2 for this 4 days out kind of time frame. And it might even be the pre-workout meal. Well, I guess we'll decide that later. So most of my meals have been looking like this. Protein bowl, mustard, or just like salt and pepper, and then 3 rice cakes. 21 grams of carbs total, and I couldn't help myself. As soon as I put this bowl down, I just had to grub on it. But after this, I am going to pop a squat, take a nap, and honestly, by the time I'm up and moving around again, I think it'll be time to go hit back. So, how about we leave me to enjoy these last couple of bites, and I'll see you in the car. There we go. A cool 650, much warmer than the dang 0 degrees I'm used to back in Ohio. It's 50 out, and even for this daytime sort of temperature fluctuation, that's on the colder side of things over here. I wouldn't have minded if it was a little bit closer to 70 during the daytime. 70 and sunny, that'd actually be pretty freaking nice. But that doesn't change what I'm doing. So, plan for tonight's back day, well, get a back pump. Oh yeah, that's all I'm aiming for. The primary goal of that lifting portion, get some blood flow, pose down, and then I'd say equally as important, at least for right now, is that cardio session afterward. So these lifts are going to kind of taper off over the coming days. Like, I think my last actual workout is timed for Thursday morning, and then the rest of that sort of pre-show prep is all water fluctuation and, you know, just kind of trying to maintain an uninflamed state. But that's for later down the line. Let's focus on what we got right in front of us. And one thing I can't help but focus on is the fact that I forgot my straps. But I'm not actually too pressed about that fact, considering I don't need to lift as much weight as I can physically move right now. So the fact that I don't, get the added grip ability of throwing some straps on really doesn't change much. But that is something which is a bit of a point I don't hear argued as much. I think all the straps, I guess you could say straps propaganda, has been paying off, because usually, or at least not usually, but I used to see these comments a lot. It used to be, well, why would I want to use straps on back day? I get to work my biceps and my back at the same time, and my forearms. You know, what do you want, your forearms to disappear? And it's like, I'm not so concerned with the forearm activation from holding on to stuff just from back. I mean, doing arms and everything else, any kind of pressing, you're going to be holding on to that shit, right? But the benefit I see is the fact that it just physically requires me to send less signals to my hands to actually hold on to the weight, and I can focus all my kind of mental energy way down here into pulling with my lats, right? Because if I got to sit here and like, hold on to whatever, it's going to slip out of my hand if I'm not, then it's kind of taken away from my, level of focus. And sure, you might not think that's a lot, but, imagine trying to do leg extensions, curls, side laterals, a chest press, and like a shrug all at once. It's kind of, when you take something to that extreme, it might start to make a little bit of sense that it could take away from your ability to really pinpoint your muscular contraction signals towards whatever you're aiming for. But simple lifts, nothing too crazy. Pull downs, rows, and pullovers in some sort of order. Really, we just got to kind of walk in and see what's open, right? Actually warm up, get in the zone, and then decide what movement number 1 or what the best course of action for movement number 1 should be. So no point talking about it any further. Let's just get in there. All right, I think it's a mag grip pull downs will be a perfect start. No. 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 Okay. Ooh. 2 more of those. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. Let's get a row started. This looks like kind of a fancy sort of seated row situation. I'll make this set a little heavy, kind of nasty. And assuming it feels all right, but I want to move on, the next one will be light squeezing. But if I like the feel of it, I'll just keep doing it that style. Oh no, okay. Oh, goodness. Yeah, let's drop it from 200 to 140. Make this one slow with a full second hold at the top. Good machine though. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know what's next. Some wide grip straight bar rows on this adjustable cable instead of the seated cable will be good. Just something about it, I get a much better squeeze. You know, build up so much momentum with the weight. All right. Okay. I think I know exactly what the finisher set will be. And it's going to go down right here. Then we can find the freakiest lighting and pose down. See how back looks pumped up. Plastic finisher. Long D handle, half pull down, half rows. Very squeeze emphasized too. This isn't like a brutish throw the weight around set. Ugh. Okay. All right. Diet fatigue most certainly hit me for this freaking back day. Now, of course, still a good lift, but I could tell those first 2 sets, well, really the first 1 set of pull downs actually kind of took a little bit to really get into the flow of. But let's get a look at how we're looking. Oh. And don't forget, this is fully hydrated and I wouldn't say carved up, but not like, you know, dead, sort of nearly show prepped flat. But let's see how it looks from the back. Reasonably grainy, I would say, but of course, let's just let the posing speak for itself. Oh my gosh. Oh. So, still reasonably striated with a very visible Christmas tree, even with a back pump, which usually actually kind of takes away from some of that cool, lean, sort of grain factor. So that's getting me extra excited to see my back during like, you know, rear flexes unpumped, which frankly I think is a little bit cooler. So for you, let's get in the car. For me, I got a little cardio to finish first. All right, I think I got scrappy service right here, so my directions are taking a minute to actually load. Ah, there we go, we're good. Yeah, I think 30 minutes of cardio in the morning and 30 post lift is my limit right now. I went a little extra crazy with that hour this morning. Not that I think it was a problem or anything with, like, you know, kind of where I'm at this moment, but yeah, I think, well, isn't that kind of a fun thing to say? Let's call it at 1 hour of cardio per day. Any more than 1 hour a day, that's too much. 1 hour is the sweet spot. So, post-workout meal, not exactly a treat. Not exactly a treat. But then again, that depends on how you define a treat. Whoa. Dude, people are driving like freaking crazy in Vegas. The house we're renting is like kind of off of a main street. And all freaking night, all I'm hearing is somebody's crazy, modified, you know, exhaust deleted, just like just going crazy. Which, you know, kind of cool, but it's a little bit on the loud side of things, you know. But yeah, apart from that, everything is going according to freaking plan. So I'm excited to get back and edit this whole thing together, because that's when I really get to see the pose down clip on, like, you know, the big kind of computer screen. Which one little something rather to look into. If you're serious about the working out and you do want to have like some pictures to look back on, kind of as just some sort of, you know, self-documentation, I would recommend getting some kind of video camera. You know, you don't have to go freaking crazy and get like the most expensive kind of highest end whatever, but yeah, I'd certainly recommend looking into something along those lines. It's a whole rabbit hole, and it can get a little bit pricey for sure. But looking at all my sort of posing pictures, I mean, even if you go back in the beginning of these videos, back when I recorded them on my phone, I mean, phone cameras are good. They're getting good. Like, they're getting pretty good. But it's not the same as a big fancy camera with like the lens and everything. It just has it's got a cooler look. So if you want to be able to look back at your posing, well, I mean, just your little pose downs and flexes and everything else, you might feel like a schmuck, but busting out the tripod is pretty cool. Because apart from the fact that, like, I get to post all this stuff too, I get to look back at like all my old kind of training clips and everything else. I got a big ass like kind of hard drive set up at home where I can have all this stuff sort of saved. But yeah, it is pretty cool to look back on for sure. Plus, in a training context, yeah, my training style, approach, and I mean, basically just whole kind of mindset has evolved even just over the short term of the last 8 months, which if you never actually kind of document what you've been doing or track that kind of stuff, those details can get lost. And especially when it comes to even just like trying to get into the whole dieting side of things and everything. Like I was having a pretty long chat with somebody in there. It's like, all right, I want to get lean. I want to start cutting down. I want to start bulking up. How do I bulk up? And as much as it kind of sucks and is a little bit sort of might sound a bit convoluted, I really kind of have to say, figure it out. And what I mean by that is, not just like, oh, you should know how to do all this shit. Like, you should know it all. That's not what I'm trying to say. But when it comes to dieting down or bulking up or anything else, you've got to follow a simple process of, 1, weighing yourself every morning at the same time, tracking all of your calories every day, at least to some degree. Of course, the more accurate, the better in my mind. And extrapolating that data over time. So if you weigh yourself every morning, you're 180 pounds, and you actually tracked all your calories for 2 weeks straight, and your weight stayed the same, like you bounced up and down just a little bit, but you're basically 180 that whole time, right? And on average, you ate about 2,400 calories per day, then that means that 2,400 calories, that's your maintenance. So if you want to start cutting down, burning into some of that body fat you've got stored up, and actually use that internal energy, you got to eat less than that 2,400 on average. So that's where you got to track your stuff. And once you hit 2,200, once you hit 2,000, you got to call it, not eat anymore, or else you're not going to be in a state of actually freaking fat loss. And on the other hand, it's the exact same situation, just in reverse. If you can't get past 180 pounds, you've been lifting hard, you've been doing everything right, but you just somehow can't get past 180, like 180 is your sticking point, 180 pounds is not your genetic limit. You just got to eat more freaking food, And this, it's kind of hard for me to answer when guys say, like, Sam, what's the best bulking food? What's the trick? What's the secret to eating more food? It's like, you just said it right there in the question, You just got to eat more. So whether that's, getting a couple extra bowls of oatmeal throughout the day, or maybe even having some treats if you're a little bit crazy, or whatever, it's a simple problem of not enough calories getting into this hole right here. So somehow you got to start chowing down. And if you're willing to experiment and try different things and, see, like, all right, maybe if I have a big bagel with some salami and some cream cheese or something or whatever, and then, oh, that's pretty easy for me to eat. Oh, that thing's 900 calories. All right, maybe I'll have a couple of those today. Like, really just, if you're bulking up, frankly, I don't even understand the complaint. Oh, I can't eat enough food. Coming from where I'm at right now with all these calorie limits, and I'm eating my freaking bowls of tuna with rice cakes, and you're telling me you can't eat enough? You're getting me riled up here, all right? So if you're bulking up, look, man, I do not want to hear, oh man, I can't eat enough food. Dude, you're lucky compared to where I'm sitting here, all right? I'm jealous of you for being able to eat that much food. Right? Now, I'll be there later once I start bulking up again, but for now, man, that hits a nerve, right? Like, not for real, but you get what I'm saying. So, either way, that puts me at 4 days out. 10 o'clock, had a pretty long chat in between the cardio session and the end of that pose down, which frankly was all right with me because it kind of gave me a little bit of time to sort of catch my breath and recuperate before I popped a squat on the cardio bike. But now I get to go home, pass out, wake up, and do it all over again. So, 4 days out, complete. I will see you for a 3 days out sort of update.